Chapter 3, Discipline in Work and Studies. Back in June 2023, I'm about to send my dad a message. He's driving right now, but he's got someone in the back seat, someone who he doesn't want there. He's got a woman in the back seat, and he has to be polite to her. He's a taxi driver, and he has to be polite because that's his passenger. I'm sending him a message telling him of the recent success that I've had in business. I'm sending him a screenshot of the cart notifications that I've been getting and how much money I've been making. £100,000 per month. I tell him that I'm on track for my goal of 3 million this year and that he doesn't need to drive the taxi anymore. I'm getting flashes of the last few years that I've dedicated my life to this goal of this business, this online income. And this was a big moment for me. And I'm thinking how awesome it's going to be. He's going to come home and together we'll take off the taxi stickers that are on the car and I can record it and I'll get a lot of views. But unfortunately, that's not what happens. Because my father doesn't come home as expected. He does come home. But as I see the car pull up into the driveway, the taxi stickers are already gone. I was waiting there ready to record the moment that we're going to be taking them off. And I asked him, wait, you already took them off? It turns out that the moment that I sent my dad the text message or the moment that he saw it, he didn't even wait to come home to get rid of all of the signs that made it clear that he was a taxi driver. He pulled up at the side of the road and did it there. And it hits me that for the last 20 years, my parents have dedicated their lives to raising me and my siblings. And my dad has worked these low status jobs. My dad has sacrificed status as a man, status, to just provide for the family. And he was pained by that. He was agitated by it, but he just did it just for the sake of family. My dad had a much better job in Pakistan. He had more of a leadership position, more of a manager inside of a big paper mill engineering position. And here in the UK, he told me from his words, he's worked more as a laborer. Now, 20 years later, I'm 26 years old. And I've finally been able to pay it back. There are many people out there your age who are making an unbelievable amount of money. And one of the first things that the smartest people in this group do, they retire their family. They pay their parents back for the effort and sacrifice that they've made. And it's such a beautiful experience. It's to be a son who retires his father is a beautiful experience. I think it's like every son's duty. And it's going to require discipline. Because when you look into any of these genuinely successful young people, the young people who are literal millionaires, there is absolutely one trait that they have in common. They did hard work, even when they did not feel like it. But on the other hand, the young men who lack discipline, they're hit with 3 major pain points. 1, they live a life where they're not living up to their potential. They're always unfulfilled. 2, they're experiencing the realities of being a poor performer, which means shitty jobs, not much money in their business, poor grades. And maybe worst of all, 3, the people in their lives are let down. Or maybe the people in their lives are experiencing extra stress to counteract their laziness and lack of discipline. You see, there's only really 2 paths in front of you. It's the path of discipline, or it's the path of destruction. The cost of discipline, okay, you've got to wake up a little bit earlier, you make some coffee and you get to work even though it feels kind of hard. The cost of lacking discipline is your soul. It's the pain that when you fall in love with a woman, you're not successful enough to be able to just retire her immediately. That seems like a distant dream for a lot of guys, but it is a reality for some. Imagine that moment when your woman still needs to go to work in a job that she doesn't want to go to. You know, if you meet a woman who loves her work, that's different. But let's say she's working some shitty job and it's actually starting to drain on her. Let's say she gets pregnant and even 6 months or however long, 3 months into the pregnancy, she still has to go to work. She still has to commute. Now, I can be sat here like, you know, being like nice as everyone else is to you, but I'm going to hit you with some cold, hard fucking truths. You're disgracing your manhood if you can't provide for others. If you have a woman who hates her job, but still has to go because you weren't disciplined enough for long enough in your life, you should feel like a fucking asshole. You should look yourself in the mirror and actually think, fuck me, I wasted years of my life doing what? Porn, video games, drinking, drugs, right? If it was different, if it was like, you know, you were really working hard, but you didn't end up achieving success, that's different. But look into the fucking mirror and just be honest with yourself. Did you actually like work to the level that you should have? Did you discipline yourself to the level that you should have? Or did you just keep coping and saying that 1 hour of video games was fine? And now your girl has to go work an overnight shift, or, you know, like she has to work overtime on Saturdays. Now your father's like 60 years old and he's still like trudging along to work. And no one will say this to you, by the way. No one will actually come to you and say like, I wish you retired me. Your father's probably not going to say that to you, but they're thinking that. I can't believe I raised such a weak son who didn't even understand the concept of masculinity that you provide. Your father provided for you and here you are. Extra 1 hour on video games every day, eating carbs that fuck up your brain and now you can't even work well. I don't mean to be insulting or aggressive towards you, but I wish that someone spoke to me like this, because everyone spoke to me like a pussy when I was growing up. It was so weird. It's like, trust me when I say people are thinking these thoughts. But I'm growing up, playing video games, watching porn, fucking around, wasting time, and only my father would just kind of tell me, you know, these are bad habits and stuff, but he wouldn't ever explain. I wish he sat down, like maybe I would have thought of him worse, but I wish he sat me down and said like, you shouldn't be playing video games, because in 10 years, I wish that you would retire me. I wish that I'd stop working these shitty jobs that I hate, and I hate my life, and I have to drink alcohol to be able to sleep. I wish in 10 years from now you'd be able to retire me, and I don't believe you'll be able to do that because you keep spending 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day on video games. I'm disappointed in you. I wish someone told me that when I was younger. These days, like everyone just speaks in such a polite, like nice way. You need someone to hit you with some truth. That I don't say this to be an asshole. I don't say this to hurt your feelings. If I wanted to hurt your feelings, I wouldn't be making like a guide like this where I've genuinely put my fucking heart and soul into this for the last like 2 weeks and like numbed my brain to thinking how I can help you be more disciplined. But sometimes, especially for young men who are masculine, you need a bit of criticism from someone else. You need another guy to look at you and just say like, bro, you're not living to your potential, so what the fuck is the point in your life? Now, you can start getting depressed and think that this is going to trigger you and make you worse. Or you can think, you know what? It is shameful. It is absolutely shameful for me to be like a leech on my family when I'm a young man. I'm 18 years old. I'm 20 years old. I can work harder, I can figure it out, and I don't have to retire them right now because that would be unreasonable. But I could surely retire my parents after 10 years from now if I set that as the plan, right? That's not so like super unrealistic. I'll give you a random tip. When we talk about retiring parents, people don't really explain it. There's 2 ways that you retire your parents. One is that you make like an absolute boatload of money and you just essentially transfer them the money, like a huge amount, like let's say $1 million, and they get to live off that forever. That they don't have to think about anything else. That's very unrealistic because that means that you've probably got 10 million or 50 million in the bank account and you can give them that much. So not many guys will do that. But the other one is that you're making a really good amount of money every month. Like for example, your business is making 8,000 or 10,000 a month, which is really high, but it's possible. And then from that, you give them more than what they need to be able to pay off all the bills. So for example, you give your parents like $4,000 a month, which means that suddenly they don't even need to work anymore. Let's say like your mother right now, like how much does she make? $2,000 a month, probably less for most of the people watching this right now, probably way less, right? So if you were making $5,000 a month in your business and you were able to give your mother 1.5K or 2K, suddenly all of her time is freed. She doesn't need to work the shitty job that she hates. And it's like, this is a very strong point for people because this is when the leashes, the chains of finance get broken off and they can discover who they really are and what they really want to do with their lives. And it turns out, you know, people still want to work and be productive and do something. Your mother's been working this shit job that she hates. Now it turns out that she actually wants to go and volunteer at this charity because like one of her, like some friends or something is there, or there's like a cafe that she really likes and she'd love to work there part-time. So she's still bringing in a bit of income, but she like really enjoys it a lot more. It's not as stressful. It's closer to home. She doesn't have to commute. And you've just gave her the genuine gift of life for $2,000 a month. Not bad. You should not be hearing this and start to self-destruct, because there are quite a lot of sensitive young people who are hearing this and they're just going to start getting really, really stressed out and stuff. That's not going to help you. Don't just start getting emotional at this. Start getting logical towards this. Start thinking to yourself, you know what? Emotions aren't going to help me. Logic, power, strength will. Discipline will. What's going to help you is the fact that barely 1% of young men are interested in things like this. Like if you really just imagine yourself right now, if you view yourself in third person, you're sat here watching a guide on discipline. Now, if you imagine the people you grew up with, what are they doing right now? One of them is genuinely edging his dick right now. You know it. The other one is literally like he's still lying in bed right now. The other one is watching some bullshit TV or something. The other one is just playing on his little Xbox with his little stubby fingers or something. He's got like little like oily fingers from like the little disgusting junk food he's been eating whilst playing the game. The other one is working some like shit job that he hates, but he's spending all the money on like some car that gives him a level of validation, so maybe he can get some stinky coal from when he goes to the club. That's your competition. You're telling me you can't beat those guys? Your competition is literally guys who don't even exercise. Your competition is guys who genuinely have never even heard of the concept of like meditating. That's your competition, bro. It's not that hard. To beat 99% of guys, all you've got to do is about 10 push-ups and 30 seconds of meditation today. That's it. Then, to beat the 1% is ruthlessly hard, because guys in the 1% are actually doing bits. They've already watched this guide. They're already meditating for the last year. They've all got six packs. They all understand all these like concepts and frames and mindsets. Now it gets hard. But to beat 99% of guys, bro, and to get to like the equivalent of that might be 1 or 2 or 5K in business. It's like just do some stuff consistently for like 2 months and ask for advice, and just maybe get someone who's more experienced than you to help you and to give you some kind of direction, and just do it for about an hour a day for like 2 months, 3 months. When you go down this path of discipline, what you'll realize is you'll start to get this weird, peaceful, blissful experience, which kind of like, it reminds you, it shows you, the concept of your potential. You always heard this in school and Instagram little quotes, live to your potential, do your potential, your potential, your potential. When you start to dedicate yourself to discipline, and really don't bullshit yourself, you really become disciplined in the areas that you didn't want to. Like you kind of want to, but you don't feel like it, you're not motivated and stuff. You really start to do hard shit. I didn't want to sit down for this fucking video right now. I didn't want to. I've already done 3 hours of deep work today. My brain was kind of hurting. And for like a break, like a vacation, I closed my eyes and did some deep breath, and now I'm here. Now I'm recording for like a solid probably 2 hours whilst I'm here. And it feels phenomenal. Because as I'm doing this, there's no thoughts in my mind. I've challenged myself today, so I get a free flow state. This is the happiest like a human can be, is when you're experiencing flow and there's no thoughts in my mind. I don't need to fake it. I'm not like some people will pretend that they're happy with their work and they'll show you like a fake smile. I don't need to show you like a massive big smile. I am totally and utterly like content and almost slightly like enlightened in this exact second right now because of discipline, because I've put the hard work in to be here today. So I'm in like a flow as I deserve. The moment that I'm done recording this, I'm going to feel phenomenal. I've accomplished more in this morning than I used to, genuinely over an entire month. It's 10 a.m. I woke up at 5. It's awesome living like this. Now I want to talk about some specific strategies that you can use to use discipline in your work and your studies. Step 3.1, wake up early. Now either choose to wake up early or to stay up late. But I think that you should have either one of these extreme, like this pocket of window, very early in the day or very late at night, where no one can contact you. And that's when you can work on something which is really, really important. This is building up to the most important productivity tactic that I could be telling you about. You must have a few hours of the day when no one will contact you, when no one's awake, where it's just kind of you with some silent enthusiasm, working on something that's super hard and like, the hardest task possible. And it like 100%, trust me, that I highly doubt that you could do this in the middle of the day, and you need to wake up early, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., or you stay up late, midnight, 1 a.m., something like that. You can choose which one it is. Some people are way more night owls and they do really good work there. Some people are way better in like the morning time. I'm way better in the morning. What I will say is I do genuinely think the morning is better for pretty much everyone, because when you stay up late, you do automatically experience problems. There's more people who are still awake at 11 o'clock, even midnight. You can't drink coffee or caffeine or anything. If you see any bright lights or any lights from your computer past about 10 p.m., it really does start to fuck up your mental health. Like Andrew Huberman talks about this a lot, that if you look into the computer or phone past 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., it starts to produce like depressive symptoms inside of you, because it's totally unnatural to see light at that time. When you wake up early at 5 and you see light, it's absolutely fine. It's actually kind of healthy. So I heavily prefer morning time. But if, for example, I was someone who genuinely could not wake up early, but I feel fantastic at 11 or midnight or 1 a.m., I would still do that. I would be pushing that and literally like be up at a time where everyone else is asleep, where you don't reply to any messages, so that you can do the hardest task possible. I do my absolute best work as early as possible in the day. So right now I wake up at 5 and my deep work task is between 5 and 8 a.m. So in cases you want to copy me or you want to take any of my ideas, here's my current exact routine. At 8 p.m. I shut everything down, non-negotiable. I don't care if I'm on a call, if I'm doing anything. At 8 p.m. everything is shut down. That's when I'll go and do my nighttime routine, and I'll brush my teeth, I'll floss my teeth and stuff, set up my room and everything, set up tomorrow for work and everything. Then I'll get into bed and I just read like sideways lying down. The whole room is dark, but I have a Kindle which is on the lowest brightness. And when you read, like literally to the point that your eyes close, you have perfect sleep. I usually fall asleep at about 8:30 p.m., maybe sometimes about 9 p.m. And I wake up usually 5 a.m., like on the dot, just by myself. Wake up, first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm just quickly just going to the toilet, drinking some water, go downstairs, and I'll look at bright light, like I'll look at the sunlight. Right now, this sun, which is out at like 5 a.m., so I'm getting that into my eyes. Andrew Huberman says it's good. Then at about 5:15, I come up and I literally just do deep work till 8 a.m. So I'm working on the full guides for the script and everything. It's like a very mentally demanding, super hard task. No one can disturb me. No one's awake. I'm not checking messages. No one's awake in my house, so I'm just working on that. This is how you move the needle. So there's a phrase that I want to tell you which means a lot to me. It's called eat the frog. The idea is, I think some philosopher or something made this, but the idea is that if you eat the frog first, the hardest thing, if you do the most gross thing, the hardest thing first, then the rest of your day is going to be easier and better. Most people do the opposite thing. They've got something hard that they really don't have motivation for, and they'll keep pushing it on, pushing it later, till eventually it's like their entire day has just been kind of like stressed out by that thing that they're pushing later. And sometimes they don't even get it done. So you wake up and you do the hardest thing straight away whilst your brain's really fresh, and then you've got like an easier day after that. So when I wake up, I focus entirely on these full guides, because that's like my main thing. That's like the hardest thing I could possibly be doing. And I'll just be scripting the video, I'll be researching it, I'll be editing my script and everything, and then I record the full guide as well. This is the real me time. This is when I wake up, no one can bother me, and I can focus on dedicating myself to my craft. And I really think that I'm moving things along, and so you can copy this. So the first thing you've got to do is figure out, are you going to be a morning person or a nighttime person? I really think you need to be one, and I think the more extreme that you can push the time, the better. If you can wake up at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. and then start to adjust, the rest of your life to it, the sleep schedule and everything to it, fantastic. If you can stay up 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and you can really, really get good work done, and you're not coping and you don't get distracted and no one's messaging you, and you can stay awake at that time, then do that. You should have one of these pockets. The next thing is, and this is the actionable step, figure out what your eat the frog task is. What is the single greatest, hardest, highest leverage task for your work or your studies? For a YouTuber, for example, it's not, changing the channel banner. It's not like commenting on videos. It's simply just like recording the video and maybe scripting the video. That's like the hardest, highest leverage thing out there for a YouTuber. So this is what I do in that first pocket of the day. If you're a nighttime person, then you do this right at the end. Or for example, let's say you are an author. You could be messaging people, you could be writing emails, you could, be sending shout outs to people or something. But the hardest task, the eat the frog of an author, what do you think it is? literally just writing words down on a page. That's the hardest task. So if you're an author, you'd wake up and you'd do that as fast as possible, or you'd stay up late and you do that. You get the drift. The point is that there's a certain task for your work and for your studies that is super high leverage, but it's really hard. And that's the thing that you should be doing in these like pockets of time. If you're a student, for example, you might think that, oh yeah, mine is studying, for example. Needs to be way more specific. It can't just be studying, because then it's like, you'll just cope, right? Because you won't have a plan. It needs to be a specific task, as specific as, for example, practicing the exam questions. So you've got an upcoming exam, you've got like a list of all the questions that they've had over the last 5 years. At 5 a.m. you wake up and you practice the exam questions for 90 minutes. That is a good deep work task right there. Alex Hormozi is a entrepreneur, like a YouTuber who's got a bunch of subscribers. And he spoke about how he ended up getting really, really good grades in college. He literally just practiced the exam questions over and over and over again, so that when it came to the exam, he had already practiced the questions that had come up anyway. So he just breezed through them. That's a very high leverage task. A lot of students cope and they say like, their task is just going to be studying. They end up sitting there, they're distracted, they don't know what they're doing. They'll read a bit of the book, but it's boring. It's not even high leverage. It's very important you have a specific task that you'll focus on. I will tell you that I've been on self-improvement full time for the past 3 years. I haven't had a job other than YouTube. And so I've literally had the beautiful opportunity to like be full time on my self-improvements. And I will tell you that this is a 10 out of 10 productivity tactic. Wake up early, stay up late, whichever one, and work on that hardest task. Eat the frog. That's what I have in this habit tracker behind me. I have 5 a.m., sunlight, eat the frog. That's the 3 things I do first. And then I've got like the rest of my morning routine as well. This will be hard. When you sit down to try and do one of these tasks, it's always like quite brutally hard. It's like you're trudging through deep snow. It's hard. There's always a bit of a struggle. You don't really want to do it. But as you get about 20 minutes or 30 minutes into one of these hard, like frog tasks, that's when you start to feel a lot better. Like I am right now. When I was having a shower before this, I was literally thinking like, coping, do I want to record this? I can't be bothered. What if I do it after the gym? What if I do it, all these thoughts. The first like 10 minutes or so of recording this video, I was feeling a little bit like, I don't know, groggy, not really feeling it. Now it's fine. You've just got to fight the struggle that will inevitably arise with a task like this hard. And this is really, I'm going to be honest, this is where the success is built. Because you see how hard, you can imagine how hard this is. I'm telling you to either wake up early or to stay up late, which means that you've got to kind of dedicate your life around this. And then I'm telling you to work on the super hardest task possible, the highest leverage task. Everyone else is doing the exact opposite. Everyone else is spending their time doing like the pointless tasks, which aren't so important, and the hard, really important task, they're pushing that off till like, till the later of the day, till they're tired and it's less of a priority and they're doing other things first. They're going to the gym first. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. You prioritize that big task and you try and do it first thing in the day when no one can message you. And do all this with the vibe of enthusiasm and enjoyment, because you're building your dream life. And you're not just building your dream life. This is the dream life. When you imagined your dream life and you thought of, the life that you wanted to live, oftentimes we've been influenced and brainwashed by media, by school, by, like people that we know and influencers, and even like the red pill, like based guys have influenced us to think that we need this Bugatti or this apartment or, like be a high value man and stuff. When you take all that bullshit aside, when you really think about your dream life, in some way, you probably did think about the fact that you'd be working hard on some kind of project that meant a lot to you. Because if you think that, the dream life is you just kind of retiring and having enough money, I have to say you're quite immature and foolish. Not in a insulting way, it's just because you haven't experienced life. Anyone who's experienced life, especially as a man, knows if once you make a fuck ton of money and you can pretty much retire, you don't, because it's boring as fuck. You need some kind of purpose, fulfillment, right? So it's like this already was going to be the dream life for us, and we can have it today. We can have something that we can work hard on that contributes to humanity, that also gets us to the point that we can start to provide for our families. A year or so ago, I remember being on Instagram, and there was an Instagram reel of like a basketball player who was like saying this like motivational quote, and he said, those days where you wake up early and you work hard, those days when you stay up late and you work hard, those are actually the dream. Which is super, like, I remember watching that and thinking that's actually so true. My Instagram's I don't know if my Instagram's linked in the description. You can follow me if you want. I don't even post on it, but and it's very true. The dream is not the subscribers. It's not the car. It's not the number in your bank account. It's just working on something that actually means a lot to you. If you disagree right now, you might be working on the wrong thing. You might be, for example, either being forced or you're maybe forcing yourself to work on something that you don't actually care about. You're only doing it for the external validation, the results. This is why it's very important to slow down for a second. And, your response to everything I've been saying here, if it seems kind of depressive of like, oh man, I've got to work hard on this task, it's going to be shit and stuff, but, maybe I'll eventually make money. It's probably the wrong thing for you, because the right task is going to be the kind of one where it's still super difficult, but you're actually thinking, man, a life of me waking up early and working on that would actually be a pretty good life. It would be hard. And of course I want other parts of my life too, but I would actually enjoy that. That would be good for me. That would be good for the world. Oftentimes, many young men, they choose the work, they choose the studies, which they don't actually feel intrinsically motivated or internally pulled towards. Rather than you just choose whatever your latest red pill influencer has been telling you. What I highly suggest, if you're relating to this right now, close off everything for a little while and just kind of, don't use your phone just for a few minutes. And just kind of sit silently and just ask yourself, what do you really want? And question that and maybe journal it and think to yourself, okay, where have these desires formed into my mind? Why do I want to be rich? And it sounds like a stupid question, but ask it. And you won't want to write it down. I guarantee you'll be too much of a pussy to admit this, but you'll say that you want to be rich just because Andrew Tate talked about being rich. That's it. That was the only reason why. If he didn't, and if other people didn't, the concept of being rich might have never formed in your mind, because that wasn't what your purpose was supposed to be as a man. You hear so much about purpose. None of these guys online know about purpose. Purpose isn't about becoming this successful, high-level man who wears a fucking shirt, pretends he's Andrew Tate, does the fucking sign, and then smokes a cigar. That's not purpose. Purpose is detaching away from everything, being in solitude or with some good men, which you probably have not even met just yet. Being in complete solitude and really investigating the reason for why you fucking exist. And it will probably not be related to anything that you see these guys showing you, these male role models showing you, this life of hedonistic, this materialistic degenerates showing you that, oh, here I am in Dubai and, I'm sleeping with lots of girls. But, if a woman sleeps around, then she's a hoe, but I can sleep around. She's damaged if she sleeps around, but I can damage her. Buy my course. Hustlers University, people are fucking doing this shit online. The more you watch that kind of content or content in general, the more that your brain and your heart will be polluted with weird new desires that weren't ever your own. You must spend some time away from everything and detach and slow down. And slowly you'll start to figure out what you really want. But you're a bitch. So what you really want isn't as cool as what Andrew Tate wants. And you'll prioritize his desire into your own heart and mind instead of your own. When you hear about this concept of purpose, it's all about finding out what is internally right for you. And so many young men have given up their purpose to just go follow the desire of the latest celebrity. It's a very shameful way to live. Perhaps I should have said this before. Before you even wake up early, before, we try and figure out this frog task for you, to eat the frog, we have to make sure that you're on the right track to begin with. This will come from making sure that there's no desires that are external. There's no influence by these other people, these creators, this validation seeking that you get from Instagram. It's awesome, for example, to go build your body. It's awesome to go to the gym and train hard. But if you're training hard to get the Instagram likes, it's probably not a good thing. If you're training hard to get more likes on Tinder, like I was for a very long time, it's probably not a good thing. If you detach away from all of that and you pretend like none of that exists and you are just here empty in this room for a few minutes, you'll start to really question things, and you'll be so scared of doing that because you were on the path to gain validation from other people as you started to fulfill someone else's desires. The truth is their validation's fucking useless. So it's valuable for you, as an extra actionable step for this video that's unplanned, to spend maybe 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, maybe preferably a couple of days. Zero technology, zero words spoken from your mouth to anyone else. Pen, piece of paper. Sit there, look at your wall, talk out loud, and ask yourself questions of like, why do I desire? Where did this come from? No. I know that Andrew Tate made a good reason, but like, where did it come from? It came from a Tate podcast. Oh, it came from a Red Pill podcast. Yep, I was watching another one of those useless podcasts where the angry men come on and they shout at the women for being hoes, and then the same men talk to those women afterwards and try and sleep with them. That's where my desire came from, and that's where I'm dedicating my life to. When you say it out loud like that, you feel like a fucking idiot, don't you? Instead, your desires should form from the inside, and this should be related to like your soul's purpose here on earth. This is how you get into spirituality. I'm very new to this myself, but I think that this is the better way. This is the only way to live. Otherwise, you're just wasting your life. Because we know that achieving these external things, we know that that doesn't lead to happiness or fulfillment. We know this, right? You don't even need me to like question this. We know for a fact that when you get the house or the car, that every rich guy says this, when you buy the house or the car, it's like nothing. Go and look at a video. Iman moved into his place in Dubai. Look at his face when he explains, like, yep, like he's bored. Look, buys the new car and he's super happy driving it, and then watch how he talks about it the next time. It's like, it's boring. When you get these like little materialistic toys, it's boring. It doesn't add anything to your life. And imagine sacrificing a year of your life for that little fucking like smile as you're driving this car that you've wasted like a year of your life. You haven't hugged one of your like family members for a while. Like, instead, very important, detach, figure out your real purpose, figure out your real desires. I know that this is going off topic here. I should mention this almost every video, because there's no point in living if you're on someone else's trajectory. There's a few quotes that I really like. Days are made of mornings, and lives are made of days. Win the morning, win at life. I really think that's the case. If you start your day with an awesome morning routine, hard work, this specific task that means a lot to you, which is super hard to do, and you just do it to the best that you can, not expecting it to be perfect, struggling with it, losing your attention, but just, sticking to it, doing it anyway, waking up early every single day, doing that. You're starting each day perfect. That usually translates into a way better day than, waking up late or anything. And your whole life is just made up of these days. So it sounds weird, but like the way to live a good life is just to have like a good morning routine. There's a lot of power in that. So an actionable step for you right now is to add on to your habit tracker something like either wake up early or eat the frog. I've just wrote eat the frog. Oh, I've got both. I've got 5 a.m. and I've got eat the frog. And this way you're going to hold yourself accountable. And if you stuck this up on your wall, it's very obvious. You can't escape it. So that's why I love sticking up these papers like this on my wall. This is the route to self-mastery. It's allocating time to the hardest task you could possibly be doing. And usually that means waking up early, which is such a blissful experience. And I'm actually excited for you, if you haven't already, to get into this. Step 3.2, excellence in all areas. If you're okay with dust piling up on your desk, then you'll be okay with tasks piling up in your to-do list. If you're okay with leaving things out of place, then you'll probably be okay with sending an email with a spelling mistake. If you're okay with leaving the gym before you've actually finished your workout, you'll be okay with cutting corners in your studies or your work, and the results that you get in life will show. But more than that, you will know that you are a messy room kind of entrepreneur. I learned of this concept of excellence in all areas from an entrepreneur called Sam Ovens. He has a YouTube channel. You can just go search for Sam Ovens, and he's recently made this platform, like this online community website called school.com. That's where I host my business as well. And he ended up just like, in one random video of his, he showed that he had principles for his like previous business, like the kind of guidelines and rules and mindset that everyone in his business was following. And one of them was excellence in all areas. They won't cut corners. And I've been inspired by that since. And that's something that I want to get into myself. Excellence, not in just the work that you produce or the videos that you make here, but excellence in, for example, the form that you have in your workouts in the gym. Excellence in your diets, excellence in the way you hold eye contact when you're speaking to your loved ones. It's without a doubt that the students who are well hydrated, they've got good diets, they go to sleep on time, will get better grades than the students who stay up late on TikTok, who refuse to drink water because they don't like the taste of it. That's obvious, it's common sense. And yet people miss this out. This is undeniable, we know this. Because these are the people who have got their life in order, trying to get better grades when you're dehydrated, or trying to make more money from your business when you don't even make your bed every morning, or trying to make gains in the gym when you refuse to improve your diet and you keep eating sugar. That's obvious, it's common sense, it's basic, but a lot of people miss the basics, and you might be one of them. If, for example, you're a guy who's always well hydrated, there's probably another area of life that you're not even hitting the basics on just yet. Maybe your form in the gym, if you're just being honest, maybe your form in the gym is shit. It could be. Have you ever had a personal training session to have someone else, like a professional, evaluate your form? Have you ever trained with someone who's got 10 years of experience? Have you ever even like sat down and watched 50 different videos on how to like bench press correctly, how to increase your squat form and everything? All of this pursuit of becoming excellent comes down to just your mindset of setting higher standards than you have done previously. So again, this is something that you can do. You can look around your room and just think, okay, what could I slightly increase the standards of? A lot of it for a lot of people is cleanliness, and you can increase the standards there. Maybe you can increase the standards slightly of the clothes you wear, or the hair that you keep, the way that you groom yourself. A lot of young guys, including myself, kind of let ourselves go with a little bit of laziness. So booking in a haircut once a week or 2 weeks, and with this new mindset, okay, I'm going to have higher standards for my appearance. That will translate to higher standards in your work. Step 3.3, perfectionism is simply a lack of discipline. I've spoke to a lot of people who suffer with perfectionism. They want it to be just right. They want to wait months or years to, do something that should take maybe a couple of days. And I speak to a lot of guys who want to become YouTubers. Maybe they've been inspired by seeing like my YouTube channel growth. And they always ask me these bullshit questions. Should it be like this video or this one? How about this idea or this one or this one? They're just like literally just jumping around from idea to idea. And I always just ask, how many videos have you posted? And the most common answer that I get is 0. Here we have a young man who's overthinking to such a crazy level, thinking, wait, should his videos be like this or like this, like this? And he's made 0 videos, so he doesn't even understand. This is like a fat guy sat here saying, no, I won't go to the gym until I've got the perfect workout routine. How do you think you'll find the perfect workout routine? You go. So I always, every time I meet a perfectionist, I always relate them to a fat man. You're the exact same. It's just a lack of discipline. The fat guy who doesn't go to the gym because he doesn't know exactly what the perfect workout routine is going to be is the exact same as the little skinny fat nerd with the skinny neck who's saying that he won't make his YouTube video right now, who's saying that he won't produce this work right now, or he won't release it just yet because it's not good enough. It's not perfect. This just comes down to a lack of discipline. It comes down to arrogance and narcissism. There's a weird counterpoint here where we want you to have high standards, but we don't want it to be stupid. For example, your first video that you post onto YouTube is probably going to be trash. Now, if you're some professional guy, you're 30 years old and you can invest in a really high quality team and you're already a great speaker, then it's going to be different. But if, for example, you're a young guy and you don't have much experience, you're not really that great at speaking or anything, you don't have like a fantastic team or even a camera, you're just using your phone, your first video is gonna be kind of trash, and that's okay. But then having high standards would mean, okay, well, the next video I make, I'm gonna try and do one thing that's slightly better. Having high standards could mean, okay, I'm gonna make sure that in my videos, I don't waste that much time, because, a lot of new YouTubers, they'll press record and they'll waste 20 seconds, 30 seconds just getting to it. This is the way to increase standards, but whilst destroying perfectionism. Just know that there'll always be more things that you can add into something. Always. There will always be more that you can add in. That isn't the skill. This is where perfectionists get stuck. They're always just trying to add more into something, think that they can make it better. How exactly do you use discipline to overcome perfectionism? You find a perfectionist buddy, kind of like an accountability partner, but another guy who also has these feelings of perfectionism. And you join together, because generally we have perfectionism in ourselves, but we can kind of rationally see for someone else. But, perfectionists can't see it in themselves. They think that it's still not good enough. They think that it's not ready to be released. But if a perfectionist meets another perfectionist, they can kind of help each other in a weird way where they both relate to the feeling that they have, and they're able to convince each other well. And so your actionable step is to go down to the comments right now and go search for your own perfectionist / procrastination buddy. And if you really want to take action, then write your own comment and then people can reply to you. Maybe you can put your Discord username so people can add you. You can say like, I'm looking for a perfectionist buddy. This is the thing that I think I've got perfectionist on. Or, you know, I procrastinate on this task because I keep expecting it to be perfect. If anyone's similar, here's my Discord, here's my email address or something. Everyone spamming in the comments will also help the algorithm pick up this video, so that's a win-win. If you're interested in all of the entrepreneur stuff I've just spoke about, like finding your dream business, and you want my advice with that, and you want to join like this online community, Adonis School is the place to be, and that's the top link in the description.